Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Good evening and welcome to Vic Akers Wonderland and tonight. And I've got I'm going to start the show a little bit differently today. I want to give a massive shout out to one of my friends, Lucy. She's scored her first 2 competitive goals against the Gay Gooners. Against the Proud Lily Whites. I do apologise for the Gay Gooners. Once again proving North London is red. Yep. She also got her first yellow as well. But it's the North London derby. We need to take one run for the team. So I knew I was going to mess that up. But Lucy, massive shout out. Well done, girl. Lucy. We've had a bit of a, how do I put this? A bit of a crappy Sunday on Sunday, didn't we? And I know someone on the screen is going to be like, well, someone on this podcast, I should say, is going to be very, very smug about it.
No, because they didn't get my scoreline. They failed to even play that badly. I was fuming. 5 minutes to go. Set piece of the bottom. Come on, Billy Bright, just head it in. Show your Arnold Clark Cup form. No, they couldn't get the third goal. So not only did we lose, we didn't lose in the way I wanted to. So it was pointless.
Okay. But he's allowed to be a little bit smug.
I knew we wouldn't win, and
he knew we wouldn't win. So he got that right. But before we get all to that, I'm joined by Adam and Matt. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I've just come back from my sisters. I'm still on Leovalti time. My sister's wedding on Monday, so just come back today, and I've been able to take a bit of a break away from football and everything like that. So it was kind of needed, especially after Sunday's result, and I'm looking forward to talking to you both.
Adam, how are you?
I'm well. Obviously, whilst the men obviously did their bit, sadly, the same could not be said for the women. So it's a bit of a mixed weekend. So I'm just trying to put that behind me and, go back to work and look forward to next weekend where we'll play Chelsea. So it's, as I'm sure we'll dig into later, but I'm fine. Once you've lost to Chelsea, after a while, it just becomes normal after a while, that the trauma just becomes less and less each time.
Yeah.
If you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Exactly. If you can't laugh about it, you'll just sit there and be very upset.
It could be worse.
Oh, it could. But before we even deep dive into that mess on Sunday, we're going to have a look at the FIFA awards. Obviously, Beth Mead came third for Best Player award. What are your guys' feelings on that?
Well, as we all know, it's a popularity contest. It's just, I think, looking at stat, I think Beth came joint second with Alex Morgan, but because Alex Morgan's got more Twitter followers or more friends or more friendly votes, fan votes, whatever, she gazumped to second. I mean, it is a bit annoying. We would love it if Beth, won the whole lot, just because, professionally from what she did last season, but also sort of emotionally and sort of sentimentally, but because of what's happened to her off the pitch, her injury and obviously with her family. And it would have been a nice almost recognition that in adversity, but at the same time, I mean, Alexia Putellas is an incredible player. I mean, we don't see it often because we don't. Well, I don't know if maybe you do, but I don't really watch the Spanish women's La Liga. But from what we see here, she does amazing stuff there, and she helped get Barcelona to a Champions League final with some incredible performances against Real Madrid and Wolfsburg. We didn't get that far. We fell at the quarterfinal stage. So I don't think it's unfair to. I think she's a worthy winner. It's not like Alexis doesn't deserve it. She's absolutely, I think the fair player to win it. I would have liked it if Beth came second, a bit like with the Ballon d'Or, but it wasn't to be. But what we can say with absolute certainty is that, according to FIFA, she is the best outfield player in the WSL. So yeah, that's a nice sort of thing to have. And also, on a side note, Mary Earps, our hero from the Euros, is the best goalkeeper in the world. And for me, that is obviously the story of me is incredible, but that in itself is an incredible story where you consider Mary Earps was nowhere near the England setup. For years. Ellie Roebuck was the heir apparent to Karen Bardsley, and you just see the way the two careers have gone since then. I mean, I was watching the Arnold Clark Cup. Roebuck, but in her game, I mean, she flapped to that cross that Italy scored with, whereas Earps looks like a commanding presence in the box. You know, it's incredible what Serena Wiegman's done to her career, and she was very grateful for it. She said so in a talk afterwards. She said how grateful she was, how Serena was sort of helped her get her career back on track. So no, massive shout out to Mary Earps, congrats to her, and well done to become, you know, FIFA the third best player in the world. I mean, to even be in the top 3, that's amazing. So yeah, great. Congratulations to Beth. Congratulations, I think, to Viv and Leah, who was it nominated for Team of the Year, or was it just, I don't know if they actually won it, but they were.
I think Beth and Leah ended up being in it, and Viv didn't make it. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. I'd have to go back and double check.
To be nominated, I mean,
to be nominated alone is an incredible achievement. I completely agree with that.
Captaining a country to a Euros win, just another player who's had a magical year. So, yeah, we know it's a popularity contest, and a lot of the decisions and a lot of the votes are made by people who are just voting for their friends and their teammates rather than people who deserve it. But that's, you know, the way it is, and never know. Probably not next year, because obviously with Alex, well, that's going to be interesting next year because Alexia and Beth and Viv are all out of ACLs, so it's going to be very interesting to see who wins the award next time.
Yeah, maybe Alex Morgan might pull a screamer off in the World Cup. You never know. Never
know. But yeah, maybe it'll be a new player, a young player coming through. I mean, Labradorf is one of the names that I've heard batted around. People would like to see get some recognition. But there's something to aspire to, I suppose, in a few years' time when Beth's ACLs are stuck together again, she's playing again. Maybe she can go one step further.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we saw the video the other day. She's keen to be back and up for the World Cup, for sure.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So hopefully, with some luck, I do feel she deserves to go after the Euros. Yes, she's only had 9 games this season, but we can say about the same about Fran Kirby in the Euros. Yes, prior to that she's done loads of stuff, but in terms of England, Beth Mead is the shining star for me.
I think she warrants if she's fit, if she can actually walk and kick a ball, I think she warrants maybe the seat on the plane, but I don't think she'll be a starter. And I think there are.
Oh no, I wouldn't expect her to be a starter, but I expect her to be on the fringes like Fran Kirby was until she's strong enough.
Yeah. And it could be that she has a Chloe Kelly moment. You know, Kelly wasn't really fully fit going to Euros, but she was just there to stab the ball over the line, and became the hero from that. You know, not from any electric pace or cross, just she was the right place in the right time. Maybe that'll be Beth. From what I've seen, I think if we're starting players, it'll be Lauren James, it'll be Chloe Kelly on the wings, or Hemp maybe in there as well.
I just hope Lauren controls some of that raw energy that we saw on Sunday. She's completely raw. I've watched her properly now, and she's good, but she just needs a bit more.
Well, as I'm sure we'll get to, as this is probably going to be the most blatant segue ever. Her run was key for Ingles' first goal. She pushed our defence right back, and that was putting them well on the way to that win.
Definitely, Matt. What did you think of Serena's win and her saying it's finally come home? I thought that was brilliant. Although she would have won that off her time at the Netherlands, because as me and we were talking about earlier, it runs from the Olympics to the end of the Euros. So actually, no, it would include the Euros, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, so she's done it. She's done it twice with 2 different countries in that time, which is absolutely bloody brilliant.
Well, Serena, we all know. We've talked to Dutch fans ourselves, either throughout the Euros or when we went to games. Myself and Adam, probably more likely than you, Lottie.
Yeah.
Or unless you've been online talking to them. So they've always said that Serena was the best coach they ever had. And the way she instilled that belief from that very first minute that she was in there, she said, I'm here to win. I'm here to bring it home. I'm here, not in exactly those sorts of words, but she had a dream and she filled it through. And now the next dream is, right, I need to get over that line now of, I need that World Cup now. Got to a final against the USA, need to go out and beat the USA. She went and did that at Wembley in front of a record crowd for the women as well. But she needs to do it over in Australia and New Zealand now as well, even though we're going to be on the tougher side of the draw. It's probably going to make us stronger if we're able to get all the way. But I think this summer is going to be the real contest of how good she really is and how she can learn from how she used the Netherlands team in 2019 over in France to how she uses the team from the Euros to the team that she's going to pick. Although, unfortunately, it's only 23 instead of 26. Let's all blame FIFA for that. But Serena's a great coach, and to be honest, if she's working miracles, eventually she's going to get some sort of nickname that's going to be like the Miracle Woman of Denmark, of Netherlands, or Feyenoord. I can't remember exactly where she's from, but it'll be things. She might just be not known as the Miracle Woman.
The Miracle Maker.
The history maker. She could potentially end up being the first ever person coach at a national level to go and win back-to-back titles with different countries. If she, say, for example, she took another, if the France job comes available after the World Cup, she could go and do that instead. But she signed a contract with us, so happy to have her. And I think she's only making these teams better. I mean, to be honest, I still don't think Mary Up's the best goalkeeper in the WSL.
You won't go, will you? You won't let it go.
I knew that was coming. I was waiting for it.
I do look back at some of these games that she's had. Okay, yeah, some of them have been stinkers where it's like a Brighton, they don't really threaten. Whereas you look at like a game against Chelsea, against ourselves, she let in those goals fairly without. Well, I would say. Oh, I've got to choose the right choice of words. She didn't react quick enough, or she made a couple of mistakes. The Laura one, nothing you can do. It's a volley. The
Leona Mornon one where it deflected and she just stood still.
Stood there like a lemon. Again, I think it's an anticipation. You don't expect the deflection, but Laura was one. It's a volley outside the box. You would have expected her to dive for it, and she just stood there again like a lemon. I think even against Chelsea, Lake Sports Village, your home ground, you're going up against the current champions, and they just froze. Unfortunately, this Australian didgeridoo somehow managed to score another load of lucky goals, from what I remember, and then Chelsea just backed off and let them try and get back into the game. And then the Welsh, how can I describe him? The Welsh bin bag, that's as close as I can get to call him something nice, decides to take off.
Gareth. GT, call him GT, if that's who you're on about, the Man City manager.
No, Mark Skinner.
The Man United manager. Oh, just call him Skinner.
Oh, God, I don't like him. I don't like him. Especially after what happened at Man United, and I was sitting right behind his bench. And I'm like, oh my God.
He was an arsehole. I should have worked my language. You can bleep that out if you want.
So it's fine. It's too late. I've mucked up about my intro. So nope.
Do you want me to try and do the Chalmers impression?
No.
Skinner.
Whenever something bad happens to Man United and to a lesser extent Chelsea, Spurs women as well, I'll always put that Superintendent Chalmers shouting Skinner, because it's just so funny. The frustrating thing is this season Man United are actually doing rather well, and there hasn't been the opportunity. And I mean, we've been talking about Mark Skinner.
The
I would say
opportunity will come. You've just got to be patient.
you've
That's
got to
all.
wait. You've got to wait. It will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
I think, as much as we may not like Mark Skinner, the facts speak for itself that he's taken this Man United team further. Well, certainly this season, further than Casey Stoney did when she was there, and we all love Casey Stoney anyway because she's a legend. I didn't really rate him as a manager, but he's got this team there. They're up at the top, fighting with Chelsea. We can laugh and mock and aggravate him, but the as I said, the table doesn't lie. He's up there, and they went to the Emirates and beat us, and we've not beaten him at home in the league at all. What Jonas never has. So he got to
Lay Sports Village last season.
No, we have beat them at our home. We beat them at their place, but we've never won in all competitions at home to Mark Skinner's Manchester United, which is bonkers. But
last season. No, the lockdown season. That was Casey Stoney. No, never mind. I'm getting confused now.
I know. That's the only time we've beaten them at home since
Lotta's amazing header.
Yeah, good times, and the own goal. Earps, we can debate her quality, but I think, but certainly when she puts on an England jersey,
I definitely.
It's almost like
Jordan Pickford vibe. He's 10 times better for England than he is his own club.
Exactly.
Yeah, agreed. It's totally.
I think where's Pickford playing for England? He's rubbish for Everton, and he'll put an England top on, and he'll have worldy saves left, right, and centre. You think, right. And
it's like throughout the World Cup, me and Matt were talking about Mary Earps. She plays like Pickford in an England shirt, and she says like Ramsdale when she catches the ball on the field. But she doesn't smile. That's the only thing when she catches the ball. So
when she wants a break, she does the Pickford resting face as well. So there's that.
Yeah. Okay, I've got the ball now.
He is a goalkeeper. Emi Martinez does it for the men's as well. You need to be at a time waste, and because especially when you're winning 2-1, and you've got the Euros on the line, that you have to kill the clock, and it's that skullduggery, it's that housery that is critical in football. And if you know these dark arts and tricks,
this was throughout the tournament though. It wasn't just the last game. That's the stuff you want to see in the last game, especially when you beat the Germans 2-1. It's absolutely beautiful, especially when you're sitting there in the stands. I know you both were. I was sitting a lot closer to Matt than I was Adam, but yeah.
Still got that photo that you.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know how I managed to take that. I've just filmed the final goal. I've gone up. I put my phone in my hand, and I've just got a picture of Matt celebrating, and it's literally perfect moment picture.
You were supposed to be recording people's reactions. It was, and then you went and pressed the.
No, I recorded the last goal. That's what I felt like, the last goal.
I'm sure.
And then I jumped up with my phone in my hand, and then because where it's on record, you've also got the camera button, and I must have pressed it. So
it's scary because the most emotion I've seen Matt display since I've met him, it's full on guttural roar, and I'm thinking, where's this Matt been hiding? He's so calm and reserved.
I always look back at that photo and think, you know what, that is literally 50 odd years of hurt just draining from people's veins.
Absolutely.
That going around in the entire country, that is basically everyone's response after that goal. I know that Jonesy was watching with his daughter at the time, and he was saying that he was crying on afterwards. But that was the emotion that was, I think, throughout the country.
Yeah. At one point, I don't think we were ready to leave. And it's just like, okay, I know I've got to go, but I don't want to leave yet. I just want to soak this in a bit more.
I had to be dragged up by the steward. They had to come over and it's like, come on, guys, you got to leave now. The litter pickers were coming in to clean up, and it's like, I just want to stay here, listen to the music. The players are still on the pitch, and it's like, no, come on, guys, you got to go. We have got to go. Yeah. And I worked the next day. That was it. I just drove to the hotel. The next day, I was back at work, and I was like, it's like a dream that I just abruptly ended. Yeah. Celebrations, but
no, I totally agree with that.
And there's still times now. I think back. I think I miss that summer. I miss driving around the country. And going to all different grounds and spend just book 2 weeks off, and just every day I've driven up to a new place I've never been before, and going to a new ground and watching teams play, and I'll never have that again. And that really.
No, we might get it again in a few years, maybe 20 years or so. You never know. Might even get a World Cup on the horizon.
You think we're supposed to be putting in another bid for the European Championships on the women's sides?
Maybe we'll get some bigger stadiums.
30,000
Yeah, I
plus.
think Arsenal need to kind of wake up and say, yeah, you can have the Emirates,
Or
and then
better
you get a team. If you get like Germany in there, or England or Spain, it will fill up.
Yeah.
I think it's completely possible,
Mm.
especially if it's England, easy fill up. I mean, if you look at our WSL games at the Emirates this season, I've never seen half the upper tier full. Never. I think most I've seen is the North Bank all the way around to the away end. That is it. That was the season. That was before the Euros as well.
Yeah.
So
it's different now.
well, unless it's a Champions League game midweek, it's not exactly the same. The thing is, but when it's cold, I can understand it because it's cold, especially on that east stand. It's freezing, absolutely freezing. Although I like to sit up in the corner so I get the brunt of the wind. So that's my own fault. But you know. Anyway, back to Sunday.
You put it off for too long. Come on,
Yeah,
let's
I know. So we lost 2-0 to Chelsea. We're out of the FA Cup in the 5th round.
Again.
Yeah,
that's 3 in the trot to Chelsea we've lost.
Yeah, exactly. And especially to Emma Hayes as well, which is really irritating. Although I do have some fun memories from the Emirates clash. That was fun. But it's just, I'm starting to feel like it's the same old story every time we come up against Chelsea. I mean, I felt like we needed to tighten up our man marking, or I should say woman marking, because every time there's a
Player
space,
marking.
Player marking. That sounds much better.
Yeah.
Every time there's a space, there's a Chelsea player popping up, like a little weed in a garden, if you know what I mean. So, I struggled to watch that game. It was nice to have Wally back. It was nice to have Kittle in the middle as well there as well. I know someone on here will be very happy to see Wally back. So I haven't seen any videos of her. Is it hoovering up her leaves in her garden for Leah Volti?
She doesn't hoover. She tongs it. She
tongs it. That's it. I haven't seen any of those lately, which is a bit odd. But I'm glad to see her back. I really am.
Are they?
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It was the annoying thing is the first half was actually better. The first half actually was the best. It's the goal. Obviously, we went 1-0 down, but we had good chances in that. Really good. The better chances. Our better chances were in the first half. I was actually reminded of a game when Man City came to play Chelsea early in the season at Kingsmeadow, and I think Chelsea were 2-0 up at half time. And in the second half, they basically just pulled up the drawbridge and were, as a defensive unit with the likes of Millie Bright in the back. They just completely locked Man City out and they never had a breath. Man City in that game, Man City had some good chances in the first half. I think Berger made a really good save and hit the post. In the second half, Man City had plenty of the ball, just could not move that Chelsea defence around, just could not find the space, just could not get the goal to get back in the game. And annoyingly, in our first half, it was pretty much the same. I mean, we had some really open chances. And the key thing, it wasn't just a case of Stina missing them all, which is usually the case. I mean, she missed one, but she was very much under pressure from the last defender. She did great movement to get in on the flick on, get behind the wrong side of the defender, if you will. 1v1 with the keeper, but under pressure, she just doesn't have that composure and obviously looped it over the bar. But you had Nyota Mornham. She had a great one in the first 30 seconds. Great save by Berger. Nearly connected with that Stina cross, like a Gaza slide. Just missed the ball. Just you saw it move, and you just thought, this is it, and it just went the other way. And then a bonkers double save, very similar to, I'd say, Dudek against Shevchenko in the Champions League final. If you remember, in the 120th minute, where he got up for the rebound, just got his hands up to it, and it just deflected it over the bar. It was very much like that, how she saved McCabe's shot, and then Ford rushed in. It was just about to take it as quick as possible, and Berger just somehow got her hands to it. Yeah. And it's very frustrating because we know the Arsenal attack is compromised. Having 2 ACLs in the attack, that will ruin pretty much, I think, not all, but maybe Chelsea. Anyone's team will be negated because of that. And so we're having to basically build a new attack on the fly. We're having to fit a new engine onto the plane whilst it's a nosedive. And that's tricky.
Sorry.
Yes.
Was it you who said we were having one of them seasons where we were relying on someone up front, like we did Nicholas Bentner?
Yes.
It was you. I thought
Yes.
that tweet that just popped into my head. I do apologise about that,
Yeah,
but
right.
you're completely right on that.
Because what it reminds me of is I remember growing up with Arsenal, and my Arsenals were like 2008, 2009, 2010, all that sort of stuff. And there'd be times we'd have an injury crisis. Van Persie, he'd probably be rolled up for a season. Adebayor, he'll be out. Eduardo obviously couldn't play because his leg got snapped. And so you're just left with Nicholas Bentner as your only striker. I mean, we went to and then there was a time in 2009 it was where we just basically got like 0-0 draw, 0-0 draw, 0-0 draw. We just couldn't get a goal. Just couldn't buy a goal, couldn't get a goal. We went to like Anfield, and this when Arsenal obviously got his 4 goals, but Bentner was our lead striker. Now, Bentner wasn't a terrible striker. He just wasn't world class, even though he thought he was. That's the simple fact of it. You know,
he was a lord.
It was a lord. Well, he was a lord. I mean, Lord knows what else he was, but he was a striker that he scored an average amount of goals. And unfortunately, that is where it does fill up with Stina. It's just we have been spoilt by having Miedemar up front, because we know if you put Miedemar on the ball, 6-yard box, she'll score. You are stunned. We've gone from being stunned if Miedemar would miss to almost being stunned if Stina would actually score. Because when she went through, I had no confidence she would score. And this is 2 games in a row away from home where she had a crucial 1v1 and she duffed it. She had that one at Man City where she unlucky, it came off the post. She actually beat the keeper, it hit the post. And unfortunately, that we're so used to having a reliable forward in those situations where we can just go, that's right, we can walk away, but the goal is imminent, to basically being brought down to everybody else's level. And it's now a bit of a roulette because we don't know if she'll crack it this time. But it's she being asked to probably take on more responsibility than she would have been if Miedemar and Muda were playing, because they'll be the one getting the goals and she'll be the one creating space and supplying from the wings. So Jonas is now in the position where he's having to build an attack with the likes of Ford, McCabe, Hurtig. If she was fit, she'll obviously be starting. Maybe using the new signings who aren't fully settled, like Palova. And it's just trying to find those connections, which we've always played Miedemar, I think, like consistently, one or the other or both, since like 2017 or something. It's only so like the last 5 years, however it is, 6 years, however it is, we've had I think it was, so 2017 or 2018. I can't remember. Someone put a statistic up. I can't remember it exactly. But we've basically had either Mead or Miedemar starting in Arsenal up until now, and they're no longer there, which is just madness. And it shows how much we overly rely on them. And now this is the fallout of they've been taken from us, and we've sort of been rather exposed there. I do think we're close. I mean, we saw the chances. I mean, I've seen worse performances at Kingsmeadow. I've seen us go there and get absolutely. I remember a game during lockdown where we just didn't have a sniff and got absolutely pasted. There was a League Cup tie where we lost. We looked from defence to midfield, looked perfectly acceptable. I know we scored 2 goals. That can happen against Chelsea, but we had decent chances before they scored. It's just that last final bit on the end we just haven't got. And I think I'll choose a quote from Skyfall. It's like a Rubik's Cube fighting back. He's trying to find the combination that will get them all to click, and it feels close. And we tried it with the back 3. I think we can all agree that didn't work, and thankfully he reverted back. It's just in the field. It's just going to be patience. It's just we're going to have to ride out this season. Viv's probably not going to play. Mead might play in the last 2 games. We've got what we've got at the moment, and Jonas is trying to find a solution. I hope he finds one. Maybe he'll get something in the Conti Cup final. Sadly, it didn't happen today, and Chelsea do what Chelsea do best: pounce new mistakes. We made, I think, about 2 mistakes in defence. Chelsea have got Sam Kerr, who's a world-class striker, pounced on it and got the clinching second goal. I think they only had 3 shots on target all game. I think they had the one England in the first half, and then they had the Kerr in the second half. And I think maybe there was one in the first half. I think when Matt Volti lost the ball in the midfield, and they had a shot which Manu tipped wide, and that was it. And in the second, and if you look at the stats, we've got loads of shots on target.
I've actually got the stats in front of me. The Chelsea total shots 20, on target 11, off target 6.
That was Chelsea, was it?
Arsenal,
That's
yeah,
Arsenal.
7 shots, 3 on target, 2 off target.
I've got it
For
the
us.
other way round. I've got
That's the other way
seven
round.
shots,
We had more shots, more
3
shots
on
on target.
Okay, my bad. I've read that wrong, but okay.
Chelsea, Chelsea. This is the thing. We had loads of shots. Morning daisy cutters from 30 yards that will have basically passed back to the keeper. There's very after the second. It was just it's one of those games. The moment Ingles scored, I thought, might be a bit of a long afternoon. But the players will learn from this, and we saw with the Man City doubleheader, we won one, we lost one, we've lost this one, so logic would dictate we'll win the next one, and hopefully that means we'll win a trophy, which would be nice. But no FA Cup again this season. The wait from 2016 goes on.
But on the
definitely.
sides, I think there's a few issues. Leo obviously is coming back from injury. You mentioned
strapped was so got strapping on her leg.
When you mentioned that she gave the ball away, I thought about the game against Man City when she came on. She did give the ball away 2 or 3 times, and it was a bit unfortunate. One of them nearly ended up in a goal. I think it's just going to be one of those things where we are basically down to bare bones. There's no real replacement for Leah unless you have Leah come into the midfield and then Lotta goes in. But we saw how badly that went against. But I don't hold anything against Lotta. She tries her best. She's one of our own. But unfortunately, it was just a bad day at the office at that City game. Realistically, I still think I need to watch back that second goal because I still think Lotta is actually fouled in the build up to that. But
I think
that game, just that first half, the cross across the box, seeing to Frida. If Frida was about 3 or 4 taller, that's into the back from there. Stina again 1-on-1. A couple of weeks ago, probably end of last season, you'll turn around and say that's going in the back of that. She's just going to blast it. She's been overthinking it, and you can tell it in the. I don't know if you've seen when she's doing the Sweden press interview after their one of their last games during the last international break, and she just felt so mentally and physically just not there, almost like she needed a break, and she can't get a break because Jonas has no idea where to put anyone else, because if he puts Caitlin up there, who goes on the left? Casey, right? Okay, well, who goes on the right? It's almost like I don't want to say square pegs in round holes. It's almost like you're trying to fix. When you got a sink and you're thinking, oh right, this is where the leak is, and then the next leak is there. It's almost like the sink is getting more leaks in it as you try and fix one or two, and it's almost becoming impossible.
I did a tweet about this because I did as a joke, but I do think it's absolutely true. I'm a big fan of Apollo 13. It's an amazing film, and it's a great film to watch about how people react in a crisis calmly and effectively, especially as a team building thing. But there's a moment when they realise that the carbon dioxide levels are too high, and they had to work out how to the scrubbers don't fit because the ones in one bit of the spacecraft don't fit the ones in the other half. And they says, well, basically, you've got to find a way of putting a square peg in a round hole. And that's exactly where Arsenal are, because Beth Mead is their best winger, presser, leader, attacker, scorer, leader of the press. She plays on the right. All the other Arsenal players play on the left. The one player we would have put on the right, we sold back over to Manchester United in the key to Paris. She would have been the player that you would plonk where Beth Mead is playing right now. So we've got Ford who plays better on the left. We've got McKay who plays better on the left. I would say Hurtig is probably maybe the one, but she's obviously out injured again. So we've got, I would say the only thing I can think of is Gio, and she's way too raw and way too young to play, and especially in a game against Chelsea of that magnitude, which is just basically hopefully McCabe can invert.
I don't know if you guys were aware, but there was the rumour going around that Gio and Katrine both were baking on the Thursday.
Oh, that was a joke. Yes. There was no rumour at all. There have not been food poisoning. That was a joke going around because they were baking and doing impressions of rather good impressions, I must admit, of Katie McCabe.
Yeah, very good impressions. I love the Katie McCabe one. That was absolutely brilliant. I think the words were "that's funny."
Yeah,
of what you're saying, but
uncanny.
Yeah, no.
No, not food poisoning, just jokes.
Yeah, no shit. No, I did come past the stream and then like my phone battery died and I couldn't find it again, so I got really annoyed. So I would, they were just answering general questions from people, and it was just like two normal people just baking.
Yeah.
Never mind, they play for the Arsenal.
Really shy.
Who said it again, Matt?
Katrina's really shy. If you
Oh
saw
yeah,
her,
no, Gio was doing all the talking. You could barely see Katrine at all.
Katrina's just like in the background doing the actual cooking, while Gio's just answering all the things. What else?
Fine double act.
No, definitely. I mean, opposites make good friendships, so to speak. But I know you guys have probably seen it, but there is a rumbling amongst the fan base. Aside about out. I mean, I thought I'd escaped this god awful cancel culture.
Yeah.
And now it's popping up. He's a fraud. He needs to leave. He needs to take his goalkeeper with him. And it's just like, why? Why do we have to be so negative? I mean, yes, we've lost to Chelsea. It's the same script every time, but it's like Adam said earlier. You're trying to fill a gap with the wrong shape. So it's like, where do we go from here now?
Yeah. It is frustrating, and it's not just after this game, because I see it all the time with other teams as well, and other other results. And it's simply that these people exist in football. They are just negative people who enjoy. They like to. What I think is simply that they want to have an opposing view, so they have the comfort of being proved right. I mean, I'm not going to criticise someone for wishing defeat on a team, because my prediction from last episode. So I don't know.
The thing is, you saw it coming.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I was hopeful, but I knew it was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And it's like there's always that tiny smidge of hope that you can get one over on Emma Hayes and Sam Kerr, but it doesn't happen. So
no, I just said that just to avoid being called out for me being a hypocrite. But I think there are people who they like conflict, they like stirring up the opposition to go against the grain and so on. And unfortunately, women's football has been great up until now, because hardly anybody has been focusing. It's all been about the men's team. But of course, we're opening the doors to the men's team. If I come over and of course, you're bringing over those people who say, there are, Jonas is a fraud, or before him, Joe was a fraud, or whatever, and they're not good enough. And I know what we need to do to fix Arsenal. We'll sign that person, we'll get that person in, and thinking, well, if you know so much, why don't you sit in the dugout and take up the job? On the flip side, there's also, and this is slightly tied into it, there are people who have already been fans of Arsenal win for years, who think that they are almost better because they were there first. There is an element I think of that as well. We call it gatekeeping, and it's almost an element that I'm a better fan than you because I was supporting Arsenal before it became cool. So I therefore know more. And actually, that
reminds me of that tweet from that Tottenham fan from last season. She was trying to gatekeep all the Arsenal Tottenham banter in the Emirates, and she said, we us women fans don't do this. We don't sing the Tottenham songs. No. We all get along. And it's like, no, we don't. What world do you live in?
No.
Honestly, I'm one of those fans that has come across from men's football into women's football, and I want to see that competition. I want to see that rivalry, because the players feed off it. I remember seeing a Beth Mead interview. She absolutely loved it when all the Tottenham fans were giving her grief up at White Hart Lane. She loved it. And I think it should be allowed to a certain extent, as long as it doesn't get ridiculous where there's physical fighting.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of banter here and there, but when it gets to past a certain line, it's like, no, you need to stop now.
I should note, it came up actually on Twitter. There was Lauren James. So we've got the red and white, I think it's a red and white home AFC, or I can't remember the exact name, but they go to all the games and they chant and sing, and they've got songs to all the players, a bit like an Ashburton Army Light sort of thing, but they're doing amazing work. And they were giving Lauren James and all the other players Chelsea a load of stick. And so when Lauren James came off, she showed them the score with her fingers, which
that's the sort of thing
back to the player.
You want to be seeing. She's trying to do it Theo Walcott. Do you know what I mean? It's great. It is great. Don't get me wrong. It annoyed fans at the time, but it's stuff like that you remember. I mean, it was Walcott that was stretched off from the NLD going 2-0, wasn't it? So
and the Spurs players were so impressed they gave him some money towards his injury, didn't they? They gave him a few
A couple of quid.
Coins
Yeah, they
to
did.
towards his injury fund. But that banter, that interaction, that's exactly what you need. Because otherwise, if everyone's loving and loving each other, the game's quiet because you're all just chatting with your mates. You want that tribalism. You want that us versus them mentality. Now, you don't want to take it too far and get, like I said, fighting in the stands and ripping out seats and hurling abuse that goes beyond the line, racist or sexist or misogynist or homophobic or anything like that. We don't want that. But when it's about football, about the players, and you hear the Chelsea fans. I'm just saying it's a great chant talking about, even when she's jet lagged, she's better than you. That kind of witty humour, that's brilliant. That's exactly what we want. And there's so many people like, no, we want it all nice and cuddly and warm. No, I want to be hurling, not nasty abuse, but abuse at Spurs because they're bottlers, or Chelsea fans because they've never won a European trophy. There was a great clip of them singing towards Alex Scott, who was doing the presenting, that the Arsenal fans were reminding Alex Scott that she is a European Cup winner. That is exactly what we need. It's that improved atmosphere. Meadow Park is a better ground because of the singing and chanting that we do at the grounds. And it's time people woke up and grew up and accepted that we want women's football to evolve, but you can't have it both ways. I want it to be better, but I want it to stay exactly as it is. But I want it to become, no, we're evolving and we're improving. Either jump on the train or get off and find another sport, because this is where women's football is going and it's great. So, grow up.
The problem is as well, a lot of these people are almost like they've sat and watched another certain fan channel or fan channels like them, where they're now considered TV personalities or media personalities, and they have to be negative all the time.
Negative gets clicks, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
shouting.
But not from our own fan base, though.
No, from
it's
the
other fan bases.
They think it's funny.
Funny enough, though, there was someone in the supporters chat who turned around and said he'd had enough, especially with Jonas and everything. And funny enough, I think I did share with you what he actually said. But it was just ridiculous. This is a grown man. I'm pretty sure this is the grown man that last season, when we lost to Birmingham at the start of the new year, turned around and abused all the players, not just the referees. It was the Arsenal players and the Birmingham City players, calling them every name under the suns. At that time, it was just me and a couple of other fans at that game. We all came together and just started singing Arsenal over him because he was just that irritating. But
what's interesting about that is that firstly, the whole chat turned on him, and secondly, I've seen his quotes. Well, not his quotes, but the fact that I've seen it over on Twitter as well. People have been discussing it and discussing what an absolute plonker he is, because he is a plonker. Because positivity trumps negativity. Yes, I know we all feel bad after defeat. I feel bad after defeat. I mean, I tweeted about the fact that I feel bad, but the more intelligent thing is to be positive. And that is hard, especially when you lose to Chelsea, especially when you lose a game at magnitude. It's so hard to be positive. And we're not talking like delusional positivity, like say like a Frank Lampard or Brendan Rodgers, who will just say, it's constructive, because the easy thing to do is do Mourinho and just throw the players under the bus and things like that. And so, no, you go deeper. And I try to be positive. I mean, I could easily go on a tirade about this and that and this and that, but I think, no, I want to be more constructive. And sometimes it's best to, even if you can't think of anything, just not tweet at all, not speak at all.
This is why I usually don't say anything, or if I'm doing anything like the vlogs or anything like that for other channels, I sit and wait before or after the game, give it like 10-15 minutes and actually stew on everything. Because I remember doing the vlog after Manchester United, and I remember I didn't get home till nearly 5 o'clock in the morning. No, it was Melissa. I didn't get home until just gone midnight that day, and I was just on the train back. I was just going over this and something. I thought, okay, we should have won the game here. That's all I was thinking, is we should have won that game, and we somehow lost it. It's just one of those issues that I have at the moment, is that some of these fans, I suppose they're a small minority, they're spoiling it, and then you've got the other people saying, well, the people who's asking for people's boots and gloves and shirts every week, they're spoiling it. It's just almost like everyone's trying to cancel each other out, and at the end of it, it's just, you know what, just forget it and just sit there and just enjoy the game. And we all like discussing it. I think like I hope Riley's not gone to sleep or anything.
No, I've got a sneeze. Sorry, everybody. That's gonna be funny to watch back. I've just had to itch my nose. I was like, please don't sneeze.
Oh dear.
So I'm not. I was absolutely listening. I didn't go to sleep. I promise. But yeah, I just wasn't expecting that kind of culture to be here so soon.
No. And if
I
we look
think
at the,
it's always been here. It's just growing. Go on, Adam.
I was going to say, if you look at Jonas himself, there is absolutely no grounds for him to lose his job. I mean, firstly, he's extended his contract. Secondly, he took us to a cup final. He took us within a gnat's crotchet of a league title. Two what?
Twice.
2 cup.
This one and last season as well.
Took us the FA Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
And what was
And
the
then we've got the cup final coming up next week.
Sorry, I was thinking past tense. So he has taken us to 1 cup final. We have a second one next weekend, which maybe this week talk about this weekend. But yeah, he's done good things with the team. He's tactically aware. He knows the women's sport. He's not someone who's downshifted and thinks he can have an easy ride here. He knows what it takes to win. He's won league titles abroad. He played. We saw in the Lyon game. For me, the 5-1 in Lyon, I feel like it's going to be the exception result. It's going to be the one game we'll cheer for the rest of the season because it was the one time it looked great. For me, that is the benchmark.
We also had no injuries back then either.
Exactly, and this is the thing. If we had we had the defensive injuries, but we worked around that. Yeah, that was another square peg round hole job where we actually managed to get by with a back four of Catley and Wibben-Moy and McCabe and Ritz, or Wienreuter. I think Jonas is a really good coach. He's very tactically aware. He knows his stuff. He's got us wins against Man City and Chelsea and Man United and Lyon. I think he can do it. He just needs to have, firstly, the players fit, and secondly, the players he wants in, and he'll get it. I have confidence at the moment. I have confidence he'll get it right. And we look at Arteta. Arteta, he took about 2-3 seasons before he's kicked on. He's already won the FA Cup, but there's no guarantee in the league this season. But we look so much better now than we have in the previous, I'd say 5 or 6. So I think we have to ride this one out. If you're really suggesting that you're going to jettison Jonas now, I'm sorry, you need to look at the bigger picture. He's a good man. He's a good coach. I think he's got the personality that he can control the dressing room. The players speak well of him. I mean, it's a lot of nonsense about this is going bad because Jordan Nobbs has left as well. That's nonsense. Jordan Nobbs is an Arsenal legend, and unfortunately her journey had come to an end. The two do not correlate whatsoever. And also shout out for Jordan Nobbs winning, doing a great time at Aston Villa, and we're wishing her all the best as well. We should make that known.
Speaking of Jordan Nobbs, it's taken me this long to realise I can now put her in my fantasy football team.
Hey!
So I've got her in there now. So when Beth comes back, I've got my favourites. So I'm quite happy. She's still sitting on the bench. I did have to sacrifice 10 points this week because it's not going great. But you know what? It's okay.
It's not WSL weekend. It's this weekend will be.
I know, but I did play around with it a bit, but I know it's not because I'm going myself. I know it's Conti Cup weekend, but I'm ready for the next game week. Let's put it that way.
It's going to be difficult looking back at this weekend. I think a lot of us will look at what can Jonas do better. I look back at the game against City. Okay, I think he'll openly admit that the starting 11 shouldn't have been what it was. He eventually made those changes that he needed to at half time, and we were better for it, making it 1-0 if it was done by halves.
We won the second half. That was what it was.
Yeah, 1-0 for the second half. That would have been perfect. But I think these are lessons learned, but at the same time, he's dry. I'm sure he's going to be writing down. He's got Lydia Bedford probably analysing everything as well, who we mentioned on the previous chat as episode as well because of that. I think he knows for certain. We know that the first season was almost like, right, okay, let's see what you can do with this squad.
Yeah.
And then in January, he got a few players that he wanted in. Some players we'd never heard of before. Let's open our hands up, hold our hands up. We'd never heard of Rafaela Souza.
Or Wienreuter.
But we did because she scored the goal that helped us qualify for knockouts. But we weren't expecting her to have a big impact, say, around this time that she was from when she signed, and she's just grown and grown. And that seems to be the telling thing. thing. So it's almost like I don't want to say it's a free hit, but at the same time, it's almost like, well, take this squad as far as you can. If you just sneak into that third spot, I think people will be happy. Make sure you get a trophy, which now seems to be Conti Cup or bust, because
it's all
it's the one. It's the best chance that we're going to have out, unless we go out and somehow perform miracles and win the Champions League. But
we have a 2006 season and get to a Champions League final by complete fluke.
yeah, it's just it's going to take a lot for that to happen. But you never know with cup competitions, anything can happen. But this Sunday is going to be to make fans be more on board with him. I think, especially those that have been a bit negative at the moment, or more negative to him. As long as it would be nice to say, hey, at least we got something this season. Last season, we came a point behind Chelsea. We got to a final of an FA Cup and missed out. And we got and lost heavily. We got knocked out at the semi-finals to the same team, and we got knocked out to Manchester United in the Conti Cup, and then we lost to Wolfsburg 2-0 away from home, and that's how our season basically was to a whole.
The way I see it is the way we play. I mean, I remember I was there at Wembley for the FA Cup final against Chelsea.
I don't remember that.
I'd rather forget that, to be honest with you.
We have to, because obviously it was another final against Chelsea. From 5 minutes in, the first 3 minutes, you thought, yeah, we're out. We're not going to win this. You could tell the way we were set up, it wasn't right. We saw at Man City, about 5 minutes in, it was like, we're not set up right here. We're not going to win this. They're all over us. And it was a disaster. The first half was a disaster. What I saw and the FA
wasn't Leo injured at that time, and we had Lotta and Jen at the back, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, the FA Cup final. Yeah. That's when Leo wasn't there, but the team wasn't. Well, we could see it wasn't right. The whole we were just wide open.
Definitely not.
What I saw against Chelsea, I thought, no, we're in this. We didn't win it, but we were closer than I thought we'd be, which is why I'm a bit more positive. I've seen us lose. Well, on TV, 4-1 at home to Chelsea. Again, just the team. You look at the team. With defence, I think of Leah Williamson, Schneiderbeck, and Louise Quinn in like a back three. I mean, and with I think you look at. I know the team formation on the BBC are a bit iffy, but if you look at that team, you think
Chloe Kelly as a central defender.
Exactly.
Let's put my Letizia up front.
But you look at the team when we lost 4-1 at Meadow Park, and you think, well, no wonder we got beaten. It's pretty obvious. You can see where it was. I think structurally we're okay. I think defensively we're okay. Midfield, it is just simply about, can we stick the ball in the net? It's the stupid Michael Owen phrase. When they don't score many goals, they don't often win matches. That sort of thing. It's the hardest job in the world. It's sticking the ball in the net. Jonas just has to find a solution. And I think from what I saw at the weekend, we were better set up than we have been in some of these crunch times when we've been completely overrun.
If we can make some of these efforts on goal more clinical,
just ruthless.
As long as we can stick a couple in the back of the net. I reckon maybe if we'd scored those two, the Stina 1-on-1, and then Frida goes and scores that one, that's 2-0 at half time.
Yeah. If Stina scores, I mean, it's easy to say sliding doors. If Stina scores, it's a different game.
It's a different game. If her confidence goes straight up as soon as she gets the first one in the net. And I know you can see, as Matt said earlier, you can see she's tired and mentally and physically tired. But at this point, in this stage of the season, we've got no choice. We haven't got anyone else. I don't really I prefer. Ford disappears on one of the wings. She needs to stay where she usually plays.
Yeah.
And it's Gio's too raw, and then we're kind of just relying on someone who likes to be offside. She was offside in that game at one point, and I feel like we were a bit of a jinx because we do openly joke about it, but you don't want to see it. You really don't.
No. I think if we would say we lose, I'm not saying we're going to. If we lose, and we'll do predictions later, obviously. But let's say we lose Chelsea. If we go down fighting like tooth and nail, I'll go okay. If it is just a 3-0 walkover, I'll be extremely disappointed. But I think it will be. I think we will fight. If we put up a real show, if we make it as difficult and as possible, and you think, we matched them and we got a bit unlucky on the fine margins, you go, fair enough.
But the thing is, that's all we ask.
Yeah.
I can always rely on them to do that. It's a bit of a question mark over the boys in recent seasons, but I can always rely on the girls to do that. So hopefully Jonas is that the setup that we had in the second half is better than the first half.
Well, we'll see.
I don't want to see that lineup ever again at this moment against Chelsea. I really don't.
Which lineup?
The lineup that we started with. I don't want to see that lineup against Chelsea on Sunday. I don't.
I'm hoping Sabrina starts in goal. I think with Sabrina in goal against Chelsea, it would be. I've got nothing against Manu or anything like that.
No.
I think Sabrina would be a bit of a game changer because they wouldn't know how to change it.
Yeah, she's that wild card we've got in the deck, so to speak.
She's gonna be. I don't want to use the layman example, but she would be a very laymaness. She'd go around punching Lee right in the face. Going for.
Oh, do you know what? Forget punching Millie Bright. Let's just punch Sam Kerr.
Yeah.
It's the thing.
Sorry,
and
not intentionally, but accidentally.
No, she'll just stand on top of her and just be like, you tries to get the ball, and the ball was there to be won. You're on the floor for a reason.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
I'm really throwing ball. You said, Lottie. So, what would you change for the weekend then? I mean, I thought the lineup was pretty okay. No,
it was okay. It's just that obviously with the back three, it just didn't work. We need that 4 against Chelsea.
Oh, we didn't have a back three at the weekend. We had a back three against Man City, but we were back 4 against Chelsea.
Referring to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to do the back three again. I do flip it back because I was calling for a back three when he played it, I thought, this could work quite well actually. And then the next game it proved it didn't work at all. So I hope Jonas sticks with the back 4 because
that back 4's solid. I know Maritz is amazing, but she hasn't had enough minutes for me. I'd rather have Laura there.
Yeah, I think Laura's start again because she's been our better right back.
Yeah,
and I think fair play to her. I mean, I didn't see that coming at the start of the season. I was all in Team Maritz, but I mean, since the Euro, she's gone from strength to strength, and she's usurped Maritz.
It's got to be that magic blonde hair.
She's
come back with. That's the one thing with our girls when we watch them on TV now. You can't tell who's who if you can't see the shirt numbers.
I do.
They're all blondes.
Think if we did have
Half
to
Caitlin Ford, I think,
someone
and half Ayeli.
Someone to play on that right hand side. If I'm honest, I'll go back to that game against City. A lot of the stuff was coming through Victoria Plover. I think Plover was going to be the best option on that right hand side.
Yeah, she came on in the second half because he scrambled the team up a bit, didn't he? Put McKay back to left back and took Catley off and moved Plover to the right. Maybe she'll get another crack. Maybe with the back 4 she'll get a better chance to show why Jonas signed her, and maybe she can impose that physicality that she did to such joy in the Champions League playoff. Maybe we could just point her at Chelsea. Just
go and attack them. Find the anger you had last season. Actually, just don't get yourself sent off.
You have reminded me. I can't believe how Cuthbert got away with so many of her. I think she made about 5 fouls going. Surely that's a yellow card now. But you know the yellow cards don't come out unless it's Katie McCabe. Come on.
And there was Charles as well.
Know better.
Charles was very much. Well, she got booked just before half time, and then she got subbed off. But there was a few. But again, players don't get sent off in the WSL, and when they do, it gets overturned. So you don't get.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Off, during the West Ham Villa game at the start of the season, that was because of a punch up.
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to think of the other time. Berger got sent off for being last player.
I remember that actually. That was
the Spurs last season, and then Toon got sent off.
Where did you have to be able to go?
Didn't Spurs beat Spurs and lose that game after as well?
Spurs went 1-0 up. Berger got sent off. It was wonderful own goal, and they lost 3-1 at home. That was how Spurs did they were. They were gifting to the title, they win it. But then sent off in the of a Man U Spurs game, and that got rescinded. So there's a nice precedent set.
Yeah, but for me, I still would have given her a red card because she was overly aggressive.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're at Kingsmeadow. Like, it's not gonna happen. I just can't see anyone getting a red card at Kingsmeadow. I just can't, unless it's Leah Williamson, and we know how much the Chelsea fan base hate Leah. So on a domestic level, not international level, but
they hate her so much they took her into a Chelsea top.
They need to change the referees because they're all semi-professional as well. They need to start making them professional.
Oh yeah, there's the list of improvements is as long as
but we all know these Yeah, no, of course, but we know this will come with time. It's just a case of being patient. Otherwise,
Yeah.
if we had all the right decisions all the time, we'd have nothing to talk about. So,
Yeah.
well, there'll be debates whether it was a card or not, but that's about it. But
As VAR has proved, debating decisions has not gone away. In fact, it is stronger than ever.
I've got to say the women's VAR is better than the men's, and I only see it in the Champions League. So,
Yeah.
and it can stay with the Champions League. I don't want it anywhere else.
It's the way it's special Champions League is because it's not at Stockley Park. It's with proper. It's not in the Premier League. The referees. It's European referees who know how to use it. They know their USA from their USB. They know what they're doing.
Brilliant. Okay, boys. So we've been chatting for the last hour. That brings us to the end of our show. Thank you for coming on tonight. And we will be back on Friday for the preview of the Conti Cup final before we all go down there. Nerves haven't quite kicked in yet, but I know it's on the horizon and it's very soon. So I'm a bit, yeah. I'm not ready for this. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm not ready for it. What
will be will be. You know, it's like the Euro final. Just enjoy the day out, and you never know. And if not, you can beat the rush home and get the train back before the trophy gets lifted. So,
well, that's not going to happen for me. I've got to travel all the way from North London.
Before I forget, let's try and get behind the girls. For those that are going, I'll make sure I do this on tomorrow's the Friday show as well. Is that try and bring your banners, your flags, the face paints. Try and bring everything. Bring that atmosphere. We all sat in that. All three of us sat in that game at Wembley, and it was dead silent. We didn't hear any Arsenal songs or anything. It was just too quiet because of X, Y, Z. It just was flat atmosphere, and then you got the Chelsea fans just waving their flag every 5 minutes because they scored a goal. This time, I've almost sent out the troops, the supporters group, and as well as trying to raise as much awareness to try and get the atmosphere in the red zone up and really lift the players up, because we need it. A cup final this season, we need to let some silverware, and I'm sure it will go a long distance. Just raise that up. They've already said that.
Raise your voice and be heard.
Yeah,
get behind the girls.
They thrive on it, and that helps in the long run. So hopefully more of it will be better. And I know we've got a few Chelsea fans sneaking in our end, but hopefully they'll be pushed back.
It's all right. They'll be drowned out. It's all right. I can put my big pink flag over them and pretend they're not there. So I'll be bringing that. The flag's bigger than me, but you know I can't hang it anywhere, so I'll be wrapping it around my shoulders, no doubt. So.
Yeah, call to arms, if you will.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we might have lost Adam. Adam looks like he's frozen on screen. But I'm now going to say a very good night to everybody. Thank you to Matt and Adam again. Really appreciate it. And we will be back on Friday. Have a good evening.